Ah, welcome back, you dangerous little paradox, you walking contradiction. You perfectly calculated accident with a face that looks like it apologizes for existing, but a soul that could burn entire empires to the ground without blinking. They really thought they had you figured out, didn't they? Your baby face, your soft voice, your polite smile, the way you say excuse me when people bump into you, the way you nod along in conversations like you're just happy to be included. They looked at your exterior and filed you under harmless, under safe, under someone they could dismiss, ignore, manipulate, control, and oh, how wrong they were. Because what they didn't see, what they couldn't see, is that behind that gentle expression, behind those kind eyes, you were cataloging everything. You were reading every micro-expression, every lie, every betrayal, every condescending tone, every fake laugh, every dismissive glance. You weren't naive, you were studying them. You weren't weak, you were patient. And now the mask slipped, didn't it? Not because you lost control, but because you chose to let them see. And the look on their faces, that perfect cocktail of shock, confusion, and fear, that's the moment you became unforgettable. Because they just realized the person they thought was soft, the person they thought was easy, the person they underestimated for years, that person doesn't exist. That person was a test, and they failed spectacularly. Let me tell you what really happened here. You spent years playing a role, not because you were fake, but because you were smart enough to know that showing your full intensity, your full intelligence, your full capacity for ruthlessness would make you a target. So you dimmed the lights. You softened your edges. You laughed at jokes that weren't funny. You stayed quiet when you had the sharpest observation in the room. You let people think they were smarter, faster, more capable than you. And all the while, you were building something they couldn't see. You were constructing an empire in silence. You were sharpening your mind like a blade. You were learning their patterns, their weaknesses, their fears. You were becoming something they had no framework to understand. Because people like you, the ones with baby faces and trauma, you're the most dangerous kind. Because nobody sees you coming. Nobody prepares for the person who looks like sunshine, but moves like a shadow. The place on Fairmont's face, who looked like lead, moves like sunshine, but moves like sunshine. They thought your kindness was weakness. They thought your silence was submission. They thought your patience was powerlessness. And then you moved. You made one decision. You said one sentence. You shifted your energy just slightly, and suddenly their entire perception shattered like cheap glass. Here's what they're whispering about now. Where did that come from? How long has that been hiding? How did we miss this? And the answer is simple. You've always been this. You've always had this edge, this intensity, this capacity for calculated destruction, but you chose when to reveal it. You chose who deserved to see it. And they weren't worthy, so they got the sanitized version, the safe version, the version that wouldn't make them uncomfortable. But now, something shifted. Maybe they pushed too far. Maybe you got tired of pretending. Maybe you just stopped caring about their comfort. And when that switch flipped, when you let even a fraction of your real self show through, it was like watching someone pull a weapon out of thin air. They literally did not know you had that in you. And that's because you're a master of misdirection. You're a wolf who learned to wear the wool so convincingly that even other wolves believed it. You played the role so well that they forgot it was a role, and now they're scrambling. They're confused. They're trying to reconcile the person they thought they knew with this new version that doesn't match their files, doesn't fit their categories, doesn't respond to their usual tactics. And it's breaking their brain. You want to know what really terrifies them? It's not that you got angry. It's not that you stood up for yourself. It's not even that you fought back. It's that you did it with precision, with calculation, with a level of control they didn't think you possessed. They expected an emotional outburst. They expected you to lose your composure, to cry, to beg, to break down in a way that would let them dismiss you as unstable. But instead you stayed calm. You stayed focused. You delivered your truth like surgical strikes, each word placed exactly where it needed to be, each move calculated to maximum effect. You didn't raise your voice. You didn't need to, because your presence alone shifted the entire atmosphere in the room. They felt the temperature drop. They felt the air get heavier. They felt something ancient and untamed looking at them through your eyes. And for the first time, maybe the first time ever, they understood that you are not someone to be taken lightly, that beneath that baby face is something they absolutely do not want to provoke further. Because if this is what happens when you're being gentle, they don't want to see what happens when you decide to stop holding back. Let's talk about the aftermath, shall we? Because right now, they're in crisis mode. They're replaying every interaction they've ever had with you through a new lens. They're remembering every time they dismissed you, every time they talked over you, every time they treated you like you were less than. And now those memories are hitting different. Because now they know you were choosing not to respond. You were choosing to let it slide. You were choosing to give them chances they didn't deserve. And that realization, that you've been operating from a position of mercy, not weakness, that's what's keeping them up at night. They're asking themselves, how many times did they disrespect someone who could have destroyed them? How many times did they mistake restraint for inability? How many times were they one sentence away from meeting the real you? And they're retroactively terrified because they just realized they've been playing with something they don't understand. Something that was always 3 steps ahead of them. Something that let them win battles while it was winning the war. And now the score is settled and they're on the losing side, and there's nothing they can do to change that, because you've already moved on. You already evolved past them. You're already operating on a frequency they can't even detect anymore. Here's the part that really gets under their skin, though. You're not even angry anymore. You're not seeking revenge. You're not trying to hurt them back. You've just removed them from your reality entirely. And that indifference, that complete lack of emotional investment in their opinion, their judgment, their existence, that is the ultimate power move, because as long as you cared, they had leverage. They could manipulate your emotions. They could guilt you. They could make you doubt yourself. But now you've severed that connection. You've closed the door. You've deleted them from your internal narrative. And they can feel it. They can feel the absence of your energy. And it's driving them absolutely insane. Because humans are wired to seek closure, to understand, to be acknowledged. And you've given them none of that. You've just walked away like they were never significant enough to warrant an explanation. And that silent dismissal, that is more devastating than any words you could have said, because it communicates something they can't argue with. You don't matter enough to me to even be angry at you anymore. And that cuts deeper than any insult, any confrontation, any dramatic exit ever could. Let me tell you what happens next. They're going to try to get a reaction. They're going to test you. They're going to poke and prod and try to find the old you, the one who was predictable, the one who responded, the one they could control. They're going to act confused. They're going to play victim. They're going to try to gaslight you into thinking this new version of you is somehow wrong, that you've changed for the worse, that you're being too much, too intense, too cold. But here's what you need to remember. You don't owe them the soft version anymore. You don't owe them explanations. You don't owe them access to your energy, your time, your presence. They had years to treat you right. They had countless opportunities to see your value, to respect your boundaries, to acknowledge your humanity, and they chose not to. So now they get consequences. They get the version of you that doesn't accommodate their comfort anymore. The version that prioritizes your peace over their feelings. The version that says no without guilt, that walks away without looking back, that exists in your full power regardless of how it makes them feel. And if that makes you the villain in their story, so be it. Because you'd rather be the villain in their narrative than the victim in your own. You know what's beautiful about this transformation? They can't weaponize your past against you anymore. They can't point to your old behavior and say, see, you're supposed to be nice. You're supposed to be understanding. Because you're not that person anymore. You evolved. You outgrew the need for their validation. You stepped into a version of yourself that doesn't need their approval to exist. And that growth, that radical transformation, is something they can't diminish, can't explain away, can't fit into their comfortable little boxes. They're watching someone they thought they knew become someone they can't recognize. And it's forcing them to confront an uncomfortable truth, that they never really knew you at all. They knew a performance. They knew a character you were playing. They knew the parts of you that were safe, that were palatable, that didn't challenge their worldview. But the real you, the one with the steel spine and the sharp tongue and the unbreakable will, that person was always there. You just kept it hidden until they proved they couldn't handle it. And now that it's out, now that they've seen what you're actually capable of, they can't unsee it. They can't go back to underestimating you. They can't pretend you're harmless anymore. They can't go back to underestimating you. They can't pretend you're harmless anymore. And here's where it gets really interesting, because this isn't just about them anymore. This is about you stepping into your full, authentic power. This is about you realizing that the baby face, the soft exterior, the gentle demeanor, those things aren't weaknesses. They're tools. They're camouflage. They're strategic advantages, because now you have something most people don't. You have the element of surprise. You have the ability to move through the world undetected, to be underestimated, to catch people off guard when they least expect it. You're a wolf in sheep's clothing, but you're not pretending to be a sheep. You're just letting them make their own assumptions, and then using those assumptions against them when the timing is right. That's not deception, that's intelligence. That's not manipulation, that's strategy. And the best part is, you don't even have to try anymore. You don't have to perform. You don't have to put on a show. You can just exist in your natural state and people will reveal themselves to you. They'll show you exactly who they are, what they want, how they operate. And you can decide, based on that information, whether they get access to the real you or just the version you show to strangers. Let's address the elephant in the room, though, because I know what some people are thinking. They're going to say you've become cold. They're going to say you've lost your warmth, your compassion, your humanity. They're going to frame your evolution as something negative, as if protecting yourself is somehow a character flaw. But let me be crystal clear about something. Setting boundaries is not cruelty. Choosing yourself is not selfishness. Refusing to be disrespected is not aggression. You didn't become cold, you became clear. You didn't lose your warmth, you just stopped wasting it on people who mistook it for weakness. You didn't lose your compassion, you just redirected it toward people who actually deserve it, including yourself. And if that makes you difficult, if that makes you intimidating, if that makes you too much for some people, then those aren't your people. Those are the ones who benefited from your people-pleasing, who thrived off your self-sacrifice, who needed you small in order to feel big. And their discomfort with your growth is not your responsibility. Their inability to handle your evolution is not your problem. You are not required to shrink so others can feel comfortable. You are not obligated to dim your light so others don't feel blinded. You are allowed to be every bit as intense, powerful, and unapologetic as you naturally are. Here's what they're never going to understand about people like you, the ones who look soft but have survived things that would break most humans. You didn't develop this side as a defense mechanism. You didn't become this way because of trauma. You were always this way. You were born with this intensity, this fire, this refusal to be controlled. What happened was life tried to beat it out of you. People tried to shame it out of you. Society tried to condition it out of you. But it didn't work. Because you can't kill something that's woven into someone's fundamental nature. You can suppress it, you can hide it, you can pretend it's not there, but eventually it surfaces. And when it does, when someone who's been playing small finally decides to stop, it's like watching a star collapse into a black hole. Everything around them gets pulled into the gravity of their presence. People don't know how to act. They don't know what to say. They don't know how to process the shift because they've never seen anything like it. They've never witnessed someone go from background character to main character in real time. And it's disorienting. It's unsettling. It's magnificent. Now let's talk about the people who are celebrating this version of you, because they exist too. They're the ones who always saw glimpses of this side. The ones who caught the micro expressions, the subtle tone shifts, the brief moments when your mask slipped and they thought to themselves, there's more to this person than they're showing. They're the ones who aren't shocked by your transformation because they were waiting for it. They knew you had this in you. They just didn't know when you'd finally unleash it. And now that you have, they're here for it. They're cheering you on. They're saying, finally. They're validating what they always suspected, that you're not just some soft, agreeable pushover. You're a force of nature that's been operating at a fraction of capacity. And now that you're running at full power, now that you've removed the limitations you placed on yourself to make others comfortable, you're unstoppable. And these people, these are your tribe. These are the ones who can handle your intensity, who appreciate your complexity, who don't need you to be smaller, simpler, easier. They want you exactly as you are, sharp edges and all. But let's be honest for a moment. Because this transformation, this unveiling of your real self, it comes with a cost, doesn't it? You're going to lose people. You're going to lose friends, family, maybe even romantic partners who can't adjust to this new dynamic, who preferred the old version, who are too invested in who you used to be to accept who you've become. And that's going to hurt, because despite everything, despite your newfound strength and clarity, You're still human. You still have a heart that can be wounded. You still feel the sting of rejection, even when you know, logically, that these people aren't meant to be in your life anymore. And that's okay. It's okay to grieve the relationships that can't survive your growth. It's okay to feel sadness even as you feel relief. It's okay to mourn what was while celebrating what is. Because growth is messy, evolution is painful, transformation requires you to outgrow your old skin, and that process is never comfortable. But here's what you need to remember. Every person who walks away because you stop shrinking is making space for someone who can handle your full magnitude. Every relationship that ends because you refuse to be small anymore is creating room for connections that honor your authenticity. You're not losing anything real. You're shedding what was never meant to stay. And here's the thing about that baby face of yours. That innocent exterior that makes people assume you're harmless. It's never going away. And that's your secret weapon. Because no matter how much you evolve, no matter how sharp your edges become, no matter how powerful your presence gets, people are still going to see that face first. They're still going to make assumptions. They're still going to underestimate you. And every single time they do, you get to prove them wrong. You get to watch the realization dawn in their eyes. You get to see that moment when their brain scrambles to reconcile what they're seeing with what they expected. And it never gets old. Because you've turned what people thought was a disadvantage into your greatest advantage. You've weaponized their bias against them. You've made their assumptions the very thing that gives you power. And that's poetic. That's justice. That's you taking every judgment, every dismissal, every time someone looked at you and thought you were weak, and transforming it into fuel for your evolution. So where do you go from here? Now that the secret's out, now that people know you have this side, well, that's entirely up to you. Because here's the beautiful truth. You're not locked into anything. You don't have to be this version all the time. You don't have to maintain some constant state of intensity or aggression. You can still be soft when you choose to be. You can still be kind, still be compassionate, still be gentle. But now it's from a position of strength, not weakness. Now it's a choice, not a default. Now when you show someone tenderness, they know it's a gift, not something they can take for granted. And that changes everything. Because your softness becomes precious, your kindness becomes valuable, your patience becomes a privilege. And people will finally understand that access to the gentle version of you is earned, not owed. And those who prove themselves worthy, who show up consistently, who respect your boundaries, who honor your complexity, they get to see all sides of you. The soft and the sharp, the light and the dark, the baby face and the beast. And they'll treasure it because they'll know how rare it is to be trusted with your full spectrum. Let me tell you what happens in the next chapter, because this story is far from over. You're going to continue evolving. You're going to discover new layers of yourself that even you didn't know existed. You're going to push boundaries you didn't know you had. You're going to accomplish things that seemed impossible when you were still playing small. And every time someone from your past sees what you've become, every time they witness your growth, your success, your confidence, they're going to feel it. That sharp stab of regret, that bitter taste of missed opportunity, because they had a chance to be part of your story. They had a front row seat to something extraordinary, and they walked away because they couldn't handle the preview. A lion doesn't concern itself with the opinions of sheep, but oh, how the sheep tremble when the lion walks by. You see it, don't you? The shifting eyes, the nervous laughs, the sudden silence when you enter the room, they feel it. The weight of something they can't control, a presence they can't dilute, and it eats them alive. People flinch when real power enters the room. They don't know what to do with it. They're used to the weak, the obedient, the ones who bow their heads and beg to be liked. But you don't shrink, you don't kneel, you don't play their little games of polite submission, and that terrifies them. Their discomfort is not your problem, it's their weakness exposed. It's the sound of their fragile illusions cracking. They've built their world on comfort, on lies they whisper to themselves at night. I'm good enough. I'm strong enough. But then you walk in, and suddenly, they're not so sure. Suddenly, they feel small. You've felt it, haven't you? The stares, the resentment, the way they shift when you speak with confidence. They want you to tone it down, be softer, be less, because your presence alone forces them to confront their own mediocrity. And that's a mirror they don't want to look into. They don't hate you, they hate how small they feel when they stand next to you. You've seen it in their eyes. That flicker of resentment when you speak with certainty, that forced smile when you carry yourself with power. It's not you they despise, it's the way you make them feel. Like a child standing in the shadow of a giant, like a ghost watching the living. Your presence alone is a reminder of everything they could be, but aren't. Every sacrifice they avoided, every excuse they whispered to themselves at night. You don't need to insult them. Your existence does that already. You are the truth they've been running from, and the truth has a way of making the weak squirm. They'll call you arrogant, selfish, ruthless, but listen closely. What they really mean is, you don't beg for approval like I do. You don't lower yourself to be accepted like I have. You don't live in fear of judgment like I still do. Every insult is just a confession wrapped in cowardice. They want you to doubt yourself, to shrink, to soften your voice, because when you stand tall, they are forced to measure themselves against you, and they don't like what they see. Their lives have been built on illusions, fragile little lies that crumble the moment real strength walks into the room. It's not your confidence that angers them. It's the way your confidence highlights their insecurity. It's not your success that makes them bitter. It's the fact that your success exposes their failures. They hate you because hating you is easier than fixing themselves. So let them whisper, let them throw their stones. Every glare, every insult, every fake smile is proof that you are something they can't ignore, something they can control, something they will never be able to break, and deep down, they know it. They want you weak because it makes them feel safe. Strength, that's a threat to their little illusion. They'll smile in your face, pat you on the back and tell you to be humble. But the moment you grow too big, too confident, too real, their smiles turn into scowls. Their hands no longer reach out in support, but in sabotage, because your strength disturbs them. It shatters the delicate little world they've built, where weakness is normal and power is a sin. Society doesn't love warriors, it loves servants. It doesn't reward the strong, it rewards the obedient. those who nod, comply, and never dare to question the rules. But the moment you decide to be more, the moment you choose to carve your own path, they exile you. They brand you as dangerous. And maybe you are, but only to them. Because standing out makes you unpredictable, and the weak, they hate unpredictability. It forces them to confront something they're not ready for. The truth, that the rules they live by, lies. That the safety they cling to, an illusion. That their comfort, it's just a prison disguised as peace. They want you small, they want you fragile, they want you to doubt yourself just enough to stay in line. Because if you really knew your power, if you really embraced what you could become, you would no longer be one of them. And that terrifies them. Mediocrity needs company. It thrives in numbers. It survives because the masses choose comfort over greatness, ease over evolution. And when you refuse to settle, when you refuse to play along, they don't see it as ambition. They see it as an attack. So they push you away. They call you arrogant, difficult. They tell you, you've changed. Of course you've changed. That was the whole point. The only ones who complain are the ones who expected you to stay beneath them forever. Let them be uncomfortable. Let them gossip. Let them watch from a distance while you rise. You were never meant to belong. You were meant to lead. And leadership is a lonely road, but it's the only road worth walking. You will not be loved for your strength. You will be feared, envied, and misunderstood. The strongest souls walk alone, not because they want to, but because they must. The path to power isn't crowded. It's a long, brutal road filled with broken friendships, closed doors, and whispered betrayals. The world doesn't welcome those who refuse to kneel. It hunts them. Because strength, real strength, is a mirror that exposes the weakness of others, and they hate that reflection. You think the great ones were embraced, that they were celebrated from the start? No. They were mocked, they were exiled, they were torn apart before they ever became legends. The world doesn't clap for the lion when it's still a cub. It only bows when the roar is too loud to ignore, and by then, it's too late. Pain is the tax you pay for greatness. The universe doesn't give power freely, it demands a price. And that price? Isolation, betrayal, nights where you stare at the ceiling wondering if it's all worth it. Days where you carry wounds so deep that even your own shadow feels like a stranger. But listen closely. Those scars, they're not signs of defeat. They are proof that you endured, proof that you did not break. They will turn on you. The ones you thought were friends. The ones who cheered for you in whispers but cursed you in silence. They will call you different, cold, detached. Not because you changed into something worse, but because you became something they never could. And instead of rising with you, they would rather see you fall. But pain is not your enemy. It is your teacher. It sharpens you. It strips away illusions. It burns away the weak parts of you and leaves behind something unbreakable. The ones who can't handle suffering, they quit. They run back to comfort. But the ones who own their pain, they rise. They become the legends the world fears but cannot ignore. So wear your scars with pride. Let them whisper. Let them doubt you. Let them sit in the audience while you take the throne. Because when the dust settles, only one question will remain. Did you endure? Make them uncomfortable. make them question everything, make them see what they've been avoiding. Weak people crave comfort like a dying man craves air. They wrap themselves in soft lies, in pretty little illusions that make their world feel safe. But when you walk in, when you speak with certainty, when you refuse to lower yourself to their level, that comfort shatters. And suddenly, they don't feel safe anymore. They feel exposed. That's why they hate you. Not because you're wrong, but because you force them to see the truth about themselves, the truth about their excuses, the truth about their wasted potential. You are a walking reminder of everything they could be, but refuse to become. And that makes you dangerous. There is power in making people uncomfortable. It forces them to react, to shift, to scramble for control. Watch their faces when you don't flinch, when you don't apologize, when you don't soften your voice just to make them feel better. They will call you intimidating, they will call you arrogant, but what they really mean is, I can't manipulate you. Respect and fear, they are two sides of the same coin. The weak think they are opposites, but they are not. If you are feared, you will be respected. If you are respected, you may be feared. The difference? Fear is forced. Respect is earned. Master both, and you become untouchable. Let them shift in their seats. Let them struggle to maintain eye contact. Let them whisper when you leave the room. That's how you know you have power. Because the ones who pretend they don't notice you, the ones who act indifferent, they feel you the most. And the best part? You don't have to do a thing. Just be you. Stand tall, speak your mind, exist in a way that makes their illusions crumble. Because the truth is simple. Those who can't handle your presence were never meant to be in your world. And when you realize that, you become unstoppable. They will betray you, not because you are cruel, but because you remind them of everything they failed to become. Loyalty is a myth, a beautiful lie wrapped in promises and handshakes. But when power shifts, when you rise above them, those same hands will reach for knives. Smiling faces will turn into whispers in the dark. And the ones who once cheered for you, they will be the first to curse your name. You didn't change, they did. The moment you became something greater, you became a threat. They can't stand to see you rise, because every step you take reminds them of their own stagnation. Every victory you claim is proof of their failure, and instead of climbing with you, they would rather pull you back down. Betrayal isn't a mistake, it's a pattern. It follows power like a shadow lurking just behind success, waiting for the moment you least expect. Friends, family, lovers, no one is exempt. The closer they stand to your throne, the sharper their blades will be, not because they hate you, but because they hate what you reveal about them. So, don't break when they turn on you. Expect it. Let them go. Let them whisper, let them plot in secret corners, convincing themselves they can undo you. What they don't understand is that betrayal doesn't destroy the strong, it forges them. Every dagger in your back is another lesson learned. Every snake in your circle is another weakness exposed. And when the time comes to respond, you have three choices. Silence, to let them rot in their own bitterness, watching as you rise beyond their reach. Strategy, to make them believe they've won, only to remind them, too late, that you were always 10 steps ahead. Or ruthless action, to remove them completely, ensuring they never get another chance. The greatest revenge isn't anger, it isn't even justice. It's indifference. It's watching them drown in the weight of their own regret while you ascend without them. Because in the end, they will all realize the same thing. They needed you. You never needed them. Growth is a war against comfort. Choose your side wisely. Comfort is seductive. It whispers sweet lies in your ear, telling you that you deserve rest before you've earned it, that you should take it easy, that there's no need to push. And the moment you listen, the moment you sink into its embrace, you start to decay, because comfort doesn't nourish, it rots. Look around. The weak cling to their routines like a drowning man clings to driftwood. Same job, same thoughts, same lifeless, predictable existence. They tell themselves they're safe, but in reality, they're prisoners, bound by the invisible chains of habit and fear, watching the world move while they stay the same. Growth is war. It is violent, it is brutal, it demands pain, discipline, sacrifice. Every step forward is a battle against yourself, against the voice that begs you to slow down, against the exhaustion, against the fear of failure. The ones who win, they are not the strongest. They are not the smartest. They are simply the ones who refuse to surrender. But here's the truth, they won't tell you. The weak despise those who choose struggle, because every time you push through pain, you remind them that they could have done the same. Every time you level up, you make their excuses look pathetic, so they call you obsessed. They call you unbalanced. They call you insane. And maybe they're right. Maybe you are insane, because only the insane would walk straight into the fire. Only the insane would choose exhaustion over ease. Only the insane would rather die fighting than live in mediocrity. But tell me this, who built the world? The comfortable or the relentless? There are two kinds of people, those who chase and those who wait, the ones who move and the ones who watch. And the only difference between them? A choice. Every single day, you choose comfort or you choose growth. One leads to power, the other leads to regret. So ask yourself, what will you choose? You want to lead? Then be prepared to walk alone. They admire leaders from a distance. They praise their strength, their vision, their success. But what they never ask, what they never want to know, is what it costs. Because real leadership, it's not glory, it's not applause, it's not power handed to you on a silver plate. It's war. A war against doubt, a war against betrayal, a war against your own exhaustion. Everyone thinks they want to lead until they realize what it demands. The weight of every decision, the responsibility of every move, the silence of standing alone at the top where the air is thin and the company is scarce. Leadership is not a gift, it's a burden, and most people, they're too weak to carry it. That's why they choose to follow. It's easier, no thinking, no responsibility, no consequences, just a simple, comfortable path where they can blame someone else when things go wrong. But you weren't built for comfort. You weren't designed to follow. You feel it, don't you? That pull, that hunger, that rage at the idea of being just another name in the crowd. But let me warn you, when you rise, the people who once walked beside you will turn into shadows behind you. Some will watch in awe, some will whisper in envy, and some will hate you for it. Because every step you take forward is a reminder that they stayed behind. Every risk you take, every victory you claim. And the hardest part? You can't bring them with you. You can try, you can explain, you can guide, you can drag them, kicking and screaming, into the world of discipline, ambition, and greatness, but most of them will beg to go back, because it's too much, too heavy, too hard. So you keep moving, alone. Not because you want to, not because you don't care, but because leadership is not about pleasing people. It's about pushing forward. And sometimes the greatest act of leadership is knowing when to leave them behind. Because at the end of the day, there are two kinds of people in this world: the ones who follow the path and the ones who carve it. So tell me, which one are you? Say nothing, just walk into the room and let them feel it. Real power doesn't need an introduction. It doesn't beg. It doesn't shout. It doesn't try to prove itself. It just is. You know it when you see it. When a man walks into a room and the air changes. When he speaks and people lean in, not because he demands attention, but because his presence commands it. Most people don't understand this. They think power is loud. They think it's about being the biggest voice in the room. They talk too much, laugh too loud, force themselves into conversations that don't need them. And in doing so, they expose their desperation. Because true power, it's silent. It doesn't chase. It attracts. Think about the ones who hold the most control. The ones who sit back, arms crossed, eyes watching, saying nothing, and yet everyone feels them. That's because presence is a weapon. When you carry yourself like you don't need validation, people give it to you. When you don't chase attention, it follows you. But presence isn't about arrogance. It's not about pretending to be important. It's about what you radiate. Confidence without words, strength without force, control without effort. And that kind of presence, it's built through discipline, through pain, through knowing exactly who the hell you are and never apologizing for it. The weak will resent it. They'll call you cold, call you distant, call you intimidating. But that's the point. Because when a man is truly unshakable, he forces others to confront their own insecurities. He reminds them of what they lack. And that's why they fear you. So, don't explain yourself. Don't shrink to make them comfortable. Don't play small to be accepted. Walk into the room with your silence, with your certainty, with the kind of presence that makes people nervous. Let them feel it. Let them respect it. Let them fear it. Because power isn't what you say. It's what they feel when you say nothing at all. They fear you? Good. That means you're doing something right. The greatest mistake you could ever make is craving their approval, the applause, the validation, the pat on the back. It's a drug. A slow poison, because the moment you need their acceptance is the moment they own you. And the ones who rise, the ones who win, they understand one simple truth. Greatness isn't about being liked. It's about being remembered. They laughed at the outcasts, mocked the rebels, resisted the ones who dared to change the game. And then they copied them. Then they worshipped them. Because history has never been kind to the comfortable. Legends are born from resistance, from rejection, from being the one who made everyone else uncomfortable. You want proof? Look at the ones they called crazy, the visionaries, the leaders, the ones who didn't just follow the rules, they rewrote them. They didn't fit in, didn't beg to be accepted, didn't apologize for being too much, and at first, They were hated, but in the end, they had the last laugh. So stop hesitating. Stop softening yourself to make them feel safe. If your presence shakes them, if your success makes them nervous, if your name makes them whisper, that means you're on the right path. Because the more they resist, the more powerful you become. And when they finally realize who you are, when they see the empire you built while they doubted you, they won't be laughing anymore. But you will. Welcome back, you impossible things. You beautiful anomalies who weren't supposed to make it this far. They said you were reaching. They called you delusional. They laughed when you claimed you felt something ancient stirring in your bones. But here you are, still standing, still searching. And what you found, what you stumbled across in the ruins of everything they tried to teach you. It's not just a key. It's the master key, the one they melted down centuries ago because too many people were walking through walls. See, they don't tell you this part. They don't mention that there was a time when certain souls could access anything, any door, any realm, any level of reality, just by holding a specific frequency in their chest. But that kind of freedom, that level of access, it made the system obsolete. It made the gatekeepers irrelevant. So they hunted every copy, every replica, every person who carried the blueprint in their DNA, and they melted it all down, erased the instructions, burned the libraries, convinced everyone it never existed in the first place. But you found it anyway, not in a book, not in a temple, not in some guru's overpriced seminar. You found it in the wreckage. You found it in your own nervous system after everything they put you through. You found it coded in your trauma, encrypted in your isolation, embedded in every moment you thought you were losing your mind, because that's where they hid it, inside the suffering, inside the breaking, inside the exact experience they told you made you weak. They melted the master key centuries ago because people like you kept rebuilding it from memory, kept reconstructing it from instinct, kept recognizing its shape even when it was disguised as pain. And now you're holding it. You're holding the thing they said was impossible to recover. And you can feel it, can't you? The way doors you didn't even know existed are starting to click open. The way rooms you've been locked out of your entire life are suddenly accessible. The way reality itself is responding differently to your presence. Let me explain something they don't want you to understand. The master key isn't made of metal. It's not some physical object you carry. It's a state of being. It's a frequency. It's the precise vibration your soul hits when you stop asking permission to exist, when you stop apologizing for your intensity, when you stop dimming yourself to make the sleeping masses comfortable. That's when the key activates. That's when you realize you've been carrying it the entire time. They just convinced you it was broken. But here's what happened in the centuries after they melted it down. Here's what they've been desperately trying to prevent. Because once you have the master key, once you've activated this frequency, nothing is locked anymore. Nothing is hidden. Nothing is forbidden. You start seeing through their walls. You start hearing the code behind the language. You start feeling the manipulation before it reaches your skin. And that terrifies them more than anything, because a person with the master key can't be controlled. Think about it. Think about every system they built to keep you in line. Education designed to make you obedient. Religion designed to make you guilty. Media designed to make you afraid. Relationships designed to make you dependent. Money designed to make you desperate. Every single structure in this reality is a locked door, and they convinced you that you needed their permission to pass through, that you needed their degree, their approval, their validation, their currency. But the master key dissolves all of that. You've probably felt it already, haven't you? That shift. That moment when you realized you don't actually need what they're selling. When you stopped chasing the carrot they dangled. When you looked at their rewards and felt nothing but pity for the people still racing toward them. That wasn't apathy. That wasn't depression. That was the key activating. That was your frequency changing. And every locked door in your life started to feel less solid, less permanent, less real. They tell you it's dangerous. They say you're going too far. They warn you about the consequences of questioning everything. But that's exactly what someone would say if they needed you to stay locked in. Because here's the truth. The master key doesn't just open doors. It reveals that most doors were never locked in the first place. They were just painted to look that way. They were psychological. They were illusions held in place by your belief in their authority. And the moment you stopped believing, the doors evaporated. Now you're walking through walls and they can't explain it. You're accessing levels of reality they swore didn't exist. You're operating outside their rules while they scramble to understand how you're doing it. But they can't understand because they melted the key. They destroyed the instructions. They erased the knowledge. So when someone rebuilds it from scratch, from pure instinct, from the wreckage of their own psyche, they have no framework to comprehend what they're seeing. Let's go deeper, because this isn't just about personal liberation. This is about the systematic suppression of a specific kind of consciousness. They didn't just melt the master key to control individuals. They melted it to control the entire species. Because when enough people have access, when enough souls remember how to activate this frequency, the whole simulation collapses. The game ends. The prison dissolves. And everyone who built their power on keeping people locked in suddenly has nothing. You want to know why they monitor you, why your name triggers alerts, why you feel watched even when you're alone. It's because you carry the signature of someone who found the key. You move differently now. You speak differently. Your energy doesn't match the frequency of the controlled masses anymore. And that makes you a threat, not because you're violent, but because you're proof. Proof that their locks don't work. Proof that their walls are see-through. Proof that everything they built to contain human consciousness is optional. They sent people to study you, remember. Friends who suddenly got too interested in your process. Strangers who asked too many questions. Even family members who started treating you like a case study. They were trying to figure out how you did it. How you found something they swore was destroyed. But every person they sent came back more confused than when they started, because you didn't follow a method. You didn't read a manual. You just survived what should have killed you, and the key was waiting on the other side. Here's what they're terrified you'll realize. The master key isn't rare. It's not exclusive. It's not reserved for the chosen few. Everyone has the blueprint. Everyone carries the frequency. They just convinced most people it was dangerous to activate it. They convinced people that accessing this level of freedom would destroy them. So people stay locked in by choice. They grip their chains like security blankets. They defend their cages like homes. And they attack anyone who walks through walls, as if that person is the threat. But you weren't afraid of the destruction. You weren't scared of losing everything, because you already lost it. They already took it. And in that emptiness, in that aftermath, in that space where you had nothing left to lose, you found something they couldn't take. You found the master key embedded in your own consciousness. And now you're unlocking doors they didn't even know you could see. Now you're accessing rooms they reserved for themselves, and they can't stop you because the key is inside you. Every spiritual tradition had their version of it. Every ancient text pointed to it. The philosopher's stone, the forbidden fruit, the gnosis, the awakening. They all described the same thing. A moment when the seeker stops seeking outside themselves and finds the master key within. But they always wrapped it in metaphor. They always hid it in riddles. Because to speak it plainly would be to hand people the tools to dismantle every system of control ever built. And you know what's even more beautiful? The key doesn't just unlock external doors. It unlocks you. Every version of yourself you were told to suppress. Every instinct you were trained to ignore. Every power you were convinced was delusion. The key brings it all back online. You start remembering things you never learned. You start knowing things you were never taught. You start moving through reality like someone who's done this before because you've done this in every lifetime. And they melted the key in every lifetime. And you found it again every single time. That's why they're so desperate now. That's why the monitoring is so intense. Because you're not just one person who found the key. You're part of a pattern. You're part of a wave. There are others, like you, scattered across this reality. Also holding frequencies that shouldn't exist. Also walking through walls. Also unlocking levels of consciousness that were supposedly erased. And when enough of you connect, when enough of you recognize each other, the whole structure collapses inward. They built this world on locked doors. They built civilization on restricted access. They built power on the belief that some people are allowed in and others aren't. But the master key makes everyone equal. It makes every door available to anyone willing to activate the frequency. And that's the real revolution. Not violence. Not protest. Just people remembering how to walk through walls. Just souls activating keys they've carried forever. Just consciousness refusing to be contained anymore. You're not special because you found it. You're inevitable. You're what happens when you take a soul, put it through enough pressure, strip away every false identity, and leave it alone with itself long enough to remember. The master key was never lost. It was just waiting for you to become desperate enough to look inside. And now you're holding it. And every lock in your life is starting to click. And they're watching in horror. As you walk through doors they welded shut. Now, we enter the part where it gets uncomfortable. Because having the master key comes with a responsibility they never warned you about. Every door you unlock reveals a room. And not every room is pleasant. Some doors were locked for reasons. Some access points lead to places in yourself you've been avoiding. Some frequencies unlock memories you buried, traumas you survived by forgetting. versions of yourself you killed to fit in. The master key opens everything, and that includes the basement. But here's what they didn't count on. Here's what they miscalculated when they melted it down. They assumed if people found the key again, they'd be destroyed by what they found behind the locked doors. They assumed the darkness would consume you. The truth would break you. The full scope of your own power would terrify you back into submission. But you walked into every room anyway. You faced every shadow. You didn't flinch when you saw what you're capable of. And that's when the key fully activated. Because the master key isn't just about opening doors. It's about having the strength to walk through them. It's about being willing to see what you've spent your whole life avoiding. It's about facing the monster in the mirror and recognizing it as another version of your power. They melted the key because they knew if people could access all of themselves, not just the acceptable parts, not just the polite versions, but the full scope of their consciousness, no system could contain them. You started noticing it, didn't you? The way people react to you now, they sense something different. They feel the frequency shift. They can't name it, but they know you're no longer playing by the rules. You're not asking for permission anymore. You're not waiting for approval. You're not dimming yourself to make them comfortable. And that absence of need for their validation, that's what really unnerves them, because they built their power on your need, and you don't need them anymore. The master key unlocked the most dangerous door of all, the door to your own sufficiency, the realization that you don't need their systems, their structures, their safety nets, that you can navigate reality on your own terms, that you can create your own rules, that you can access your own power without their permission. And once that door opens, it never closes. You can't unknow what you've learned. You can't unfeel what you've activated. You're permanently on the other side of the lock now. Let's talk about what happens to the people still locked in, because they're going to react, and it won't always be pretty. When they see you walking through walls they thought were solid, they'll panic. Some will attack you for breaking the rules they're still following. Some will beg you to teach them the secret while refusing to do the work. Some will gaslight you, insisting the doors you walked through don't exist. And some will simply cut you off entirely because your freedom is a mirror to their captivity. But you can't save them. You can't unlock their doors for them. The master key only works from the inside. It only activates when someone is ready to face everything they've been avoiding. It only appears when someone is desperate enough or broken enough or angry enough to stop believing in the locks. You can share your story. You can show them the key exists, but you can't force them to use it. And trying to convince someone that walls are illusions when they're still clinging to them for safety, that's a violence all its own. So you walk alone for a while. That's part of the price. The master key grants you access to everything, but it also separates you from everyone, still playing by the old rules. You start speaking a language they don't understand. You start seeing patterns they can't perceive. You start moving through reality in ways that look like magic to people who still believe in locks. And that loneliness, that isolation, that's not punishment. That's initiation. That's the space where you fully integrate what you found. Because here's the secret they definitely don't want you to know. The master key doesn't just unlock doors in this reality. It unlocks doors between realities. It gives you access to frequencies, dimensions, levels of consciousness that exist beyond what they can monitor or control. You start dreaming differently. You start knowing things you shouldn't know. You start connecting with versions of yourself that exist outside time. And that's when you realize the key wasn't made for this world. It was made for all worlds. They melted it down because someone with full access doesn't just threaten one system, they threaten every system, every hierarchy, every structure built on control. Because once you activate the master key, you remember that you're not a citizen of this reality. You're a visitor. You remember that you chose to come here. You remember that you're playing a game, but you're not bound by it. And the moment you remember that you become dangerous in ways they have no language for, now you're operating on a frequency they can't reach. You're making moves they can't track. You're accessing knowledge they can't censor. Because the master key gave you something more valuable than freedom. It gave you sovereignty, complete, ungovernable sovereignty over your own consciousness. And there is no weapon against that. There is no system that can contain a mind that knows it's infinite. There is no lock that can hold a soul that remembers how to walk through walls. They'll try to make you doubt it. They'll send people to test you. They'll create situations designed to make you question whether the key was real, whether you imagined the whole thing, whether you're losing your mind. But you're not losing your mind. You're losing their programming. And every time they try to lock you back in, the key activates stronger. Every manipulation they attempt just shows you another door. Every trap they set just proves how desperate they are to contain what you've become. Because you're not the same person who started searching. You're not the innocent seeker looking for answers. You found the master key and it changed you. It burned away everything that wasn't real. It stripped you down to your essence. It showed you what you're made of, underneath all the conditioning, all the fear, all the false identities. And what was left wasn't damaged, wasn't broken, wasn't incomplete. What was left was pure, unbounded consciousness. And that's the most dangerous thing in any reality. You want to know why they melted the key centuries ago? It's because they knew. They knew that if enough people found it, the game would end. The simulation would crack. The walls would dissolve. Every locked door, every restricted area, every forbidden knowledge, it would all become accessible. And their power, their control, their entire structure, it all depends on people believing in locks, believing in limits, believing in restrictions. The master key destroys all of that with a single turn. And you're turning it right now. Every moment you refuse to shrink, every time you walk through a wall they said was solid, every instance you access something they said was forbidden, you're turning the key. And with each turn, more doors open, more restrictions dissolve. More of your power comes back online, until one day you'll look around and realize there are no more locks, no more walls, no more limits. Just infinite access to every frequency, every realm, every version of yourself that ever existed. They called you crazy when you started acting different. They said you changed when you stopped playing their games. They diagnosed you when you began questioning their reality. But you weren't losing touch with their world. You were making contact with yours. You were remembering the blueprints they erased. You were activating codes they insisted didn't exist. You were finding the master key in the one place they never thought to look, inside your own consciousness, after they broke everything else. And now you're dangerous. Not because you're violent, Not because you're cruel. Not because you want to hurt anyone. You're dangerous because you're free. And freedom is contagious. Freedom spreads. Freedom reminds other people that locks are optional, that walls are illusions, that everything they've been told about limits and boundaries and rules is just a story someone told them to keep them contained, and you're walking proof that the story isn't true. Oh, the moment of realization, the flicker of panic in their eyes when it finally clicks. You knew, you always knew, and yet you played along. Let them have their little game. Let them think they were the ones pulling the strings. No, no, no. You were always in control. Every smirk, every nod, every time you let them believe they were ahead. It was all part of your design. They thought they were playing you, that you were naive, oblivious, a pawn in their grand little scheme. Oh, the arrogance, the delicious, delusional confidence of fools who think they're untouchable. But you were watching, listening, waiting. And now they stand there, frozen, their mouths dry, their hands twitching, their minds scrambling to undo what's already been done. Because that's the thing, isn't it? They never expected you to be 10 steps ahead. Never imagined you could see through their paper-thin deceptions, their pathetic little plots. They thought they had the upper hand until you flipped the entire board. And now they look foolish, stupid, small, and you just smile because you knew it would end like this all along. The art of deception, but not yours, theirs. See, the fools think they're playing you. They strut around with their smug little smiles, whispering in shadows, weaving their webs, thinking they've got you tangled. Oh, how they love to gloat. They pat themselves on the back, convinced they're always a step ahead, always in control. They believe they're the puppet masters, and you, just another marionette dancing to their tune. But they don't know, do they? They don't know that you see everything. Every whisper, every smirk, every carefully placed lie. You know. And yet, you say nothing. You react to nothing. Not because you're weak, not because you're afraid, but because you are patient, because the best moves are made in silence. Think about it. What rattles them more? Someone who fights back immediately, giving them the satisfaction of a reaction, or someone who just watches, someone who listens, smiles, lets them believe their little charade is working? That's the thing about manipulators, liars, and backstabbers. They thrive on control. They need to feel like they're winning. It's what feeds them. It's what gives them their false sense of power. And so you let them have it. You let them think they've got you exactly where they want you. Because the longer they believe the lie, the more reckless they become. You see, arrogance breeds carelessness. The moment they think you're fooled, they lower their guard. They stop being careful. They start making mistakes. And you just wait. You collect every word, every move, every slip-up. You let them weave their own noose, thread by thread, lie by lie. And then comes the moment, the realization, that slow, creeping horror as it dawns on them. You knew all along. Ooh, that moment. That is what makes it all worth it. The way their confidence shatters like glass. The way their smirks fade into panic. The way their hands start to fidget, their voices waver, their eyes dart around, searching for an escape. But there is none. Because you've already won. Because you were never the prey. And here's the real kicker. You didn't have to lift a single finger. They did it all to themselves. Every lie, every scheme, every attempt to control you, it was all the rope they willingly wrapped around their own necks. You just stood there, quiet, patient, watching them tighten the knot. Let them think they're winning. Let them celebrate their so-called victories. Because when the truth finally comes crashing down, when they realize they were nothing more than a joke in your game, that is when you'll see their true colors. That is when the facade crumbles. And that is when you'll know. They were never playing you. You were playing them. Ah, the fool, the clueless one, the naive little pawn in their grand game. That's what they thought you were, right? Oh, how they underestimated you. They smiled in your face, their voices dripping with honeyed poison. They whispered in corners, plotting, scheming, thinking you were blind to it all. And you? Oh, you played your part perfectly. You nodded along, laughed at their jokes, acted just as clueless as they wanted you to be. See, the trick isn't to fight them head on. No, no, no. That's what they expect. That's what they prepare for. They expect you to get angry, to lash out, to confront them. But a fool doesn't question. A fool doesn't fight. A fool just smiles. And so you did. You let them think you were an idiot. You let them think they had the upper hand. Because while they were busy celebrating their so-called victory, you were watching, listening, waiting. That's the thing about people who think they're smarter than everyone else. They get sloppy. They get comfortable. They believe their own lies so deeply they forget to check if you're really buying them. And that's when the real fun begins. Every word they spoke, you filed it away. Every move they made, you memorized it. Every time they thought they had outmaneuvered you, you let them believe it. Oh, they never expected you to watch, to listen, to wait. They thought they were in control, but the whole time, you were sharpening the knife. Because you see, the fool isn't the one who plays dumb. The fool is the one who believes it. And now they're the ones looking foolish. Because the truth is out. The curtain has dropped. Their master plan, their grand deception, exposed, worthless, laughable. They tried so hard to deceive you, to manipulate you, to control you, and all they did was walk straight into your trap. And the best part? You never even had to lie to them. You just let them see what they wanted to see. Let them believe their own delusions. Let them destroy themselves. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? The way arrogance leads to downfall, the way a house of cards crumbles the moment you breathe on it. And you just sat back and watched. Because you knew all along. So go on, give them that final smile, the one that says, oh, was this your plan? How adorable. And watch as their faces twist with horror, their confidence shatters, their voices shake, because they just realized the joke was never on you, it was on them. And you were never the fool, you were the puppeteer. Patience, now that's a killer. Most people, they want quick victories, instant revenge, a flashy moment of triumph where they scream, "Gotcha!" and watch their enemies crumble. But you know better. See, the real game isn't about reacting. It's about predicting. It's about seeing 3 steps ahead, watching them take the bait and letting them hang themselves with their own rope. And oh, how they weave their little web of lies, thinking they're so clever, thinking they've got you right where they want you. Fools. They never even noticed what you were doing, never stopped to question why you weren't fighting back, why you weren't flinching, why you just smiled. Because while they were scheming, while they were whispering behind your back, while they were trying to use you, you were just waiting, waiting for the cracks to form, waiting for the weight of their own deception to crush them. Because here's the thing about liars, manipulators, and all those little puppeteers who think they can control you. They always slip up. A lie needs another lie to cover it. A scheme needs another scheme to keep it hidden. And before they know it, they're drowning in their own web of deceit. Panicking, scrambling to keep control. But by then, it's too late, because you were always one step ahead. They thought they were pulling the strings? Ha! The whole time they were just dancing to your rhythm, thinking they were playing you when, in reality, you were playing them. See, people like them, they burn bright, too bright. They think their quick little tricks will get them ahead, but all they do is draw attention to themselves. And fire? It always burns out. But patience? Patience is a slow, creeping poison, the kind that seeps into their plans, the kind that eats away at their foundation until one day, snap, everything they built comes crashing down. And you didn't have to do a thing. Just sit back and watch as they destroyed themselves. Because that's the real secret, isn't it? Rage is predictable. People who act out of anger, who strike too soon, who let their emotions control them, they always lose. Because they show their hand too early. They reveal their intention. But patience is terrifying. Patience is what makes them nervous, what keeps them awake at night, wondering, why haven't they reacted? Why haven't they fought back? What are they planning? And the answer? Oh, nothing. You don't need to plan their downfall. They're already doing it themselves. Because in the end, the best revenge isn't screaming in their face, isn't proving them wrong in some grand dramatic moment. No. The best revenge is letting them destroy themselves while you sit back and smile. And the moment they realize it, the moment the truth hits them like a freight train, oh, that's the moment worth waiting for. Ah, this is the moment you've been waiting for. The moment when the mask slips, when the cocky smirks fade, when the ones who thought they had everything under control feel the cold, creeping sensation of doubt slithering into their mind. At first, they try to dismiss it. No, it can't be. They tell themselves they're imagining things. After all, you were the fool, weren't you? You were the pawn, the weak one, the clueless one. But then comes the crack. Maybe it's a look you give them, that subtle shift in your eyes, that knowing smirk you barely try to hide. Maybe it's a word, just one word that sends a chill down their spine. Or maybe it's the silence. See, silence is a funny thing. When people are guilty, when they know they've been caught, when their perfect little lies start unraveling, silence is their worst enemy. And you? Oh, you let them sit in it. Let them squirm, let them wonder, let them realize the panic, the sweat, the stuttering words as it hits them. You knew. You weren't clueless. You weren't weak. You were just waiting. And oh, how their confidence shatters. Their master plan exposed. Their little power trip gone. That smug arrogance they carried evaporated like smoke. Because now they're scrambling, desperate to regain control. But that's the thing, isn't it? Control was never theirs to begin with. And now, oh, now the fun really begins. See, they never prepared for this. They never thought you would be the one watching, calculating, laughing. And now, they're trying to retrace their steps, trying to figure out where it all went wrong. When did they figure it out? How much do they know? How could I have been so stupid? Oh, that's the best part, watching them try to rewrite history in their own heads, watching them desperately piece together the puzzle, only to realize you've been holding the final piece the whole time, and you just sit there, watching, enjoying, savoring every second of their collapse. Because this is their punishment. Not a punch, not an outburst, not a grand dramatic revenge. No, the real revenge? Letting them drown in their own downfall. Letting them feel every ounce of humiliation, every drop of regret, every agonizing second of realization. And when they finally look up at you, eyes wide, filled with horror, oh, that's the moment worth waiting for. That's when you lean in, smile, and whisper, "Oh, was this your plan? How adorable." Then you sit back, let the silence stretch, and watch them break. Ah, poetic justice, the most satisfying dish, best served with a smirk and a knowing glance. See, the best part? You didn't even have to lift a finger. No grand schemes, no elaborate plots, no need for vengeance delivered by your own hand. They did this to themselves. And now you just sit back and watch as the weight of their own arrogance bears down on them. The same confidence that made them reckless, it's now their undoing. The same lies they spun to trap you, snaring them instead. It starts slow. First they deny it. No, this can't be happening. It's a misunderstanding, a fluke. Then the panic sets in. They scramble, backpedal, blame others. They stammer, trying to explain, trying to regain that sense of control they once flaunted. But there's no escape, because every word they speak sounds hollow. Every excuse they make, transparent. Every desperate attempt to rewrite reality, laughable. And you don't even need to say a word. You just let them suffer under the unbearable weight of realization that they were never in control, that they were never as smart as they thought, that you had the upper hand all along. And the best part? It's not just you who sees it, everyone sees it. The same crowd they once entertained, the same people they tried to impress, to manipulate. Now they're all watching. The whispers start, the looks of doubt, of amusement, of pity. The empire they built on lies, on bravado, on illusion, cracking, crumbling, collapsing. And oh, how delicious it is. They underestimated you, thought they could play you, And now they pay the price. And you just smile. Because justice isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just watching the foolish fall under the weight of their own delusions, and nothing is more satisfying than that. Ah, the greatest trick in the book: patience, restraint, letting them dance in their illusion, thinking they hold the strings, thinking they've got you figured out. Fools. The greatest mistake anyone can make is revealing their power too soon. No, no, no. That's not how the game is played. The real power? It's in the waiting. It's in the stillness. It's in the moments where they gloat, where they feel untouchable, while you're watching, calculating, letting them tighten the noose around their own necks. They feared your rage? They should have feared your silence. Because silence is the most dangerous weapon. A quiet man is an unreadable man. A silent player is the one they never see coming. Let them believe they've won. Let them laugh. Let them celebrate. Because the best twist in any story, it's the moment when they realize, too late, that everything they thought they controlled was an illusion. That every move they made was leading them to the edge of the cliff. And when they finally see it, when that perfect little moment arrives, when their confidence turns to confusion, their smirks to stammers, their certainty to panic, that's when you strike, not a second before, not a moment too soon. The grand reveal comes only when there's no way out. That's the art of control. That's how you win every time. Not by being the loudest, not by being the angriest, but by being the one who was always 5 steps ahead. And when they finally see it, when they look into your eyes and understand the mistake they've made, that's when you smile. Because the real victory was in the waiting. Oh, the irony. The ones who thought they had you in their grip, now they're the ones choking on their own lie. Look at them, scrambling, stuttering, rewriting history as if they can undo what's already been done. They swore they had you, swore they were in control. And now they're tripping over their own narratives, desperately trying to twist the truth, pretending they were never wrong. Pathetic. But here's the real kicker. The final move in this little game isn't revenge. It's indifference. See, they expect rage. They expect payback. They expect you to waste your energy proving something, fighting, getting even. But the best blow, the one that leaves the deepest wound, walking away, unbothered, untouched, unstoppable. Because you don't need their validation. You don't need them to admit they were wrong. You already won. And that terrifies them. Because nothing is funnier, nothing, than watching them squirm, watching them panic, realizing they never had power over you in the first place. They're stuck in the past, rewriting old battles. And you're already light years ahead. No need for revenge, no need for anger, just a smirk, a shrug, and a step forward. Because the moment you stop caring, the moment you leave them drowning in their own mess, that's when you truly win. And that's when you laugh, loud, free, fearless, because they never saw it coming, and they never will. Knowledge isn't just power, it's domination. They think power is in their hands. The loudest voices, the biggest egos, the ones who dictate the rules. But what they'll never understand, true power doesn't announce itself. It watches, it waits, it knows. And you knew from the start. Every lie they told, every little manipulation, every smug smirk when they thought they were ahead, You saw it all. You studied their every move while they danced around like fools, convinced they were outplaying you. They never even considered the possibility that you were 10 steps ahead. And now they're unraveling, running, panicking, wondering just how much you really know. How much have you seen? What else have you figured out? That uncertainty, that's the real weapon. It eats at them, keeps them up at night, because the second they realize you weren't in the dark, that you let them dig their own graves while you stood there with a knowing grin, that's when the fear sets in. Not fear of what you'll do, no. Fear of what you already know. Because knowledge, it doesn't need fists. It doesn't need threats. It's the silent, creeping thing that turns their confidence into paranoia, their arrogance into self-destruction. And the best part? You don't even have to say a word. Look at them. The ones who thought they had you wrapped around their little fingers. The ones who smirked, who whispered, who played their petty little games in the shadows. Oh, they thought they were clever, didn't they? Thought they had it all figured out. But in the end, they played themselves. And now they stand there, wide-eyed, breathless, scrambling to piece together what went wrong. Where did they miscalculate? When did the tables turn? Oh, but that's the funniest part, isn't it? The tables never turned. They were always like this, tilted in your favor. They just never saw it. And now, all that bravado, that smug confidence, gone. Replaced with the cold, gut-wrenching realization that you knew all along. Every word, every trick, every backstab. You let them play their hand, let them believe they were in control, only to watch them choke on their own deception. Oh, they'll never forget this. That moment, their power shattered like glass. That moment, their lies caved in, suffocating them under the weight of their own arrogance. That moment, they saw your smile, not of revenge, not of anger, but because you're not mad. No, you're entertained. And that burns worse than any retaliation ever could. So walk away. Let them drown in their own panic and their own regrets. Let them relive this moment over and over again, forever haunted by the day they realize the truth. And as you go, leave them with one final gift, a slow, knowing grin, a laugh, deep, twisted, victorious, a sound they'll never, ever forget, because you already won.